What's up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny 2. In today's video we're taking a look at all the incredible Vow of the Disciple weapons. These are some meta defining weapons. So in this video today we're going to take a look at all the new perks, weapons themselves and the god rolls you should be seeking out. So if you want to find out more then be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video be sure to leave a comment and rating down below and remember to subscribe for more Destiny 2 content. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now today's video is brought to us by our official channel partner, Apex Gaming PCs. If you're in the market for a brand new gaming PC or you're looking to build your own, then be sure to check them out. Not only can you build them to your exact specifications, we also have our own Jarv range of PCs that you can further customize to your exact needs. Now if you're looking to get more bang for your buck, then be sure to use code Jarv at checkout as well, and you can save over 5% up to $250 off your next gaming PC. So be sure to check them out and all their links can be found down in the video description below. Now jumping back into today's video, alongside the launch of the Witch Queen we got a brand new raid, the Vow of the Disciple, and with that we got 6 incredible new legendary weapons that are meta defining in Season 16. Now alongside the Witch Queen and Season of the Risen we also got 13 brand new weapon perks. Most of these are available on these weapons, and these weapons even have their own unique origin trait. Now before we look at the weapons, we're going to take a look at the perks. One of them here is called Turnabout, and this is where using the weapon to break the shield of a combatant or a guardian in their super will grant you an overshield. That's alongside Bait and Switch. This is where dealing damage with all your equipped weapons within a short time will give this weapon a damage boost. Next we have Successful Warm Up, and this is where each final blow increases your charge or draw speed. Alongside Chill Clip, this is where direct hits with the top half of the magazine cause a detonation that slows nearby combatants. Next we have Compulsive Reloader, which grants increased reload speed when close to a full magazine, alongside Steady Hands, where kills provide improved handling for all weapons for a short duration. And the final one of this set is called Sleight of Hand, and this is where final blows with weapons or abilities while this weapon is stowed will increase your handling, stability and reload speed for a short duration. Now as for the next set of traits we have Immovable Object. This is where projectile impacts grant increased energy while you're stationary with your shield raised. That's alongside Unstoppable Force, where blocking damage with your shield increases projectile damage for a short time. Next we have Stats for All. This is where hitting 3 separate targets increases weapon handling, stability, reload and range for a moderate duration. That's alongside Tilting at Windmills, which is where blocking damage with your shield increases movement speed until you lower your shield. Next up we have Adaptive Munitions. This is where the weapon adapts its damage output and effectiveness against energy shields that don't match the weapon's damage type. And the final basic trait is called Focused Fury. This is where dealing half the magazine as precision damage grants this weapon a bonus damage. And the final perk that we have here, which is in fact its origin trait, which is available on all the raid weapons that we're going to cover in this video, is called Soul Drinker. And this is where you gain health based on the number of hits made before reloading. That in itself is an exceptionally strong perk and is one of the many reasons why a lot of these weapons stand head and shoulders above the rest. So that's a quick look at the perks and what they do. Now let's take a look at these awesome raid weapons. Now the first one we're going to take a look at is called Lubrae's Ruin. This is a legendary energy glaive that deals solar damage. Now this weapon only drops from the 4th and final encounter upon defeating the final boss. Now it is possible to earn Deep Sight Resonance versions of these weapons. There is a guaranteed way of earning 1 per week per account. We made a video on that, so if you haven't checked that out and want to get your hands on enough weapon patterns to be able to craft these amazing weapons, then I'll be sure to leave the link to that down in the video description below. Now jumping back to Lubrae's Ruin, this is an adaptive glaive, so it's a hybrid melee ranged polearm with a frontal shield, and it generates energy on dealing ranged damage. Now this weapon has 7 perks in the 3rd and 4th column, with the Soul Drinker origin trait being intrinsic on all these weapons. Now as things currently stand, a little over 1% of players have their hands on this glaive. Now as for the main legendary traits in the 3rd column, you have a choice between Grave Robber, Immovable Object, Sleight of Hand, Turnabout, Killing Wind, Tilting at Windmills, alongside Steady Hands. And in the final column you can choose between Vorpal Weapon, Swashbuckler, Surrounded, Unstoppable Force, Unrelenting, Bait and Switch, and finally Wellspring. There's an excellent combination of perks there for PvE, with some of the standout perks in the 3rd column being being Grave Robber or Immovable Object, alongside Vorpal Weapon and Swashbuckler. Now if you compare Grave Robber with Swashbuckler and Extended Magazine, you'll have an immensely powerful glaive that just increases damage consistently upon each melee kill. With that perk combination, you'll be pretty much one-hitting all your targets and instantly reloading your glaive for those ranged energy attacks. Now if you can't get one to drop with those perk combinations, you can craft one, but Grave Robber will unlock at level 12 with Swashbuckler unlocking at level 13. And unlike the rest of the Throne World weapons that require just 2 Deep Night Resonance weapons to unlock the pattern, you'll need to earn 5 of those within the Valve the Disciple raid to unlock the pattern for any of the raid weapons. So with that in mind, be sure to make the most of that extra chest, and you'll find the guide to that down in the video description below. Now next up we have the Cataclysmic. This is a legendary power linear fusion rifle that also deals solar damage. Now this one is a precision frame, so it fires a longer range precision energy bolt, and this weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical. Now this weapon can be earned through the first and second encounter in the Valve the Disciple raid. Now much like the glaive, this has 7 perks available in the third and fourth column. In the third column you have a choice between Surplus, No Distractions, Compulsive Reloader, Sleight of Hand, Dragonfly, 4th Time's a Charm, and Successful Warm-Up. And in the fourth and final column you have a choice between Adaptive Munitions, Turnabout, High Impact Reserves, Boxed Breathing, Clown Cartridge, Bait and Switch, and Focused Fury. Now as things currently stand, little over 3% of players have their hands on this weapon, and this is one of the best linear fusion rifles in the game. Now in terms of perk synergy in the absolute god roll, you'll be looking for something like Enhanced Battery, which increases your magazine size, and pairing that with something like 4th Time's a Charm, where rapidly landing precision hits will return 2 rounds to the magazine. And if you pair that with Focused Fury, where dealing half the magazine as precision damage will grant the weapon bonus damage, this makes this weapon an absolute damage beast. Now if you're not looking for out and out damage and you're looking for more of an add clear weapon, then you could go with Accelerated Coils, which reduces the charge time, and pairing that with something like Dragonfly and Clown Cartridge, with all those perks synergizing together to create an excellent add clearing option. This weapon has great utility and the perks offer excellent variety, so be sure to try and get your hands on one from the first and second encounters. Now next up we're going to take a look at the Deliverance. This is a legendary kinetic fusion rifle that deals stasis damage. This one is a precision frame, so the weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical. Now there aren't too many kinetic fusion rifles in the game, with Bastion being one of the only other options. With that in mind, this weapon alone helps create excellent loadout diversity. As things currently stand, just over 3% of players have their hands on this, and if you don't have a Deliverance in your arsenal just yet, you can get this from the first and third encounters inside the raid. Now as with all the raid weapons up until now, this also has 7 perks in the third and fourth column, with the Deliverance having Demolitionist, Cornered, Compulsive Reloader, Heating Up, Perpetual Motion, Steady Hands, and Sleight of Hand in the third column. And in the fourth column you have a choice between Surrounded, Tap the Trigger, Harmony, Adrenaline Junkie, Chill Clip, Bait and Switch, and Successful Warm-Up. Now much like the linear fusion rifle, the perks on this weapon allow for excellent diversity. So if you're looking for a weapon that quickly recharges your ability while slowing nearby targets to take them out, then something like Accelerated Coils, which speeds up your charge time, paired with Demolitionist and Chill Clip, which is where direct hits with the top half of the magazine cause a detonation that slows nearby targets, would be your optimal choice. But if you're looking for something that's more of a run and gun option, then you could go along the lines of Enhanced Battery to increase your magazine size, and pairing that with Perpetual Motion and Successful Warm-Up, where each final blow increases your charge or draw time even further. So as you can see, just by those 2 rolls alone, the perks on this weapon allow for fantastic options, leaning into any playstyle depending on your preference. And as we said earlier, if you haven't got your hands on the Deliverance just yet, you can pick this up from the first and third encounters inside the raid. Now next up we have the Insidious. This is a legendary energy pulse rifle that deals arc damage. Now if you haven't got your hands on one of these just yet, you can pick this up from the second and fourth encounter inside the Vow of the Disciple raid. Now this one is an aggressive burst pulse rifle, which is a hard-hitting 4 burst pulse. Now we haven't had one of these since Shadowkeep and the Garden of Salvation raid, and as things currently stand, just over 3% of players have their hands on this incredible pulse. I'm a huge fan of aggressive burst pulse rifles, and these have been a long overdue addition to Destiny 2. Now in terms of perk choice and combination, in the third column we once again have 7 perks. We have Compulsive Reloader alongside Dragonfly, Stats for All, Sleight of Hand, Demolitionist, Rapid Hit, and Heating Up. And in the fourth and final column you have Adaptive Munitions, One for All, Bait and Switch, Turnabout, Vorpal Weapon, Adrenaline Junkie, and Rampage. So as you can see, once again, there's excellent choice with your perk combinations here. You can go with something like Accurate Rounds to boost your range and pair that with Rapid Hit and Rampage for a fast reloading, hard hitting pulse. But if you want a pulse that can even regen your abilities, then you may want to go with something like Tactical Mag and Demolitionist, and maybe even pair that with Vorpal Weapon so you can deal extra damage to any bosses, vehicles and guardians in their super. Now, as we said earlier, it's been a very long time since we've had an aggressive pulse, and the fact that you can roll this with Rapid Hit and Rampage makes this an absolutely deadly weapon in both PvE and PvP. So if you haven't got your hands on one of these, then you'll either need to craft one, or you can earn it from the 2nd and 4th encounters. Now, next up, we're going to take a look at the Submission. This is a legendary kinetic submachine gun, which is lightweight framed, so it has superb handling, and you move faster when you have the weapon equipped. Now, you can earn this through the 1st, 2nd and 3rd encounters inside the raid, and a little over 3% of players currently have their hands on it. Now, with this weapon dropping so often in 3 of the 4 encounters, you arguably have a slightly higher chance to get your hands on the deep sight versions of these weapons. So if you're not able to get the god roll that you're seeking out via an RNG drop, then it's highly likely this could be one of the first weapons out of the raid that you could be able to craft. Now, in terms of legendary traits, we once again have 7 options. You have Overflow alongside Turnabout, Subsistence, Steady Hands, Sleight of Hand, Perpetual Motion, and Encore in the 3rd column. And in the 4th column, you have a choice between Frenzy, Killing Wind, Thresh, Bait and Switch, Demolitionist, Swashbuckler, and Harmony. Now, this submachine gun is definitely up there with one of the best SMGs in the game, with one of its only drawbacks being the fact that it can't benefit from volatile rounds as it sits in the kinetic slot and doesn't deal void damage. But if you put that aside, it still has Soul Drinker as an origin trait, meaning that you gain health based on the number of hits before reloading. It keeps you in the action for longer, making this an absolutely deadly ad clearing weapon. The perks on it allow you to lean into that very heavily. In the magazine choice, you could go with something like Accurate Rounds to boost your range, or even Tactical Mag to improve your magazine size whilst improving your stability and reload speed. One of the most popular choices is Overflow, which is where you pick up special or heavy ammo to automatically reload this weapon beyond its normal capacity. And if you pair that with something like Frenzy, which is where being in combat for an extended time increases your damage, handling and reload until you are out of combat, you'll find yourself in a position where you have to reload very little, but you'll also be getting lots of health back due to the Soul Drinker perk. Now, another option that leans into this playstyle very heavily once again using Tactical Mag. However, pairing this with Subsistence, which is where defeating targets partially reloads the magazine from reserves, and pairing that with Swashbuckler, where the weapon gains increased damage from melee kills or kills with the weapon, and that stacks up to 5 times. This actually has quite a large magazine for an SMG, with 37 being the default stat. However, if you pair that with Tactical Mag, this will boost it close to 40 rounds, allowing Subsistence to proc more often. It may not proc as often as the Funnel Web due to the vice frame on that weapon, however it still makes it a very viable choice. And as we said earlier, if you haven't got your hands on this just yet, you can pick it up from the 1st, 2nd and 3rd encounters inside the Vow of the Disciple raid. And the 6th and final weapon we're going to take a look at in this video today is called the Forbearance. This is a legendary energy grenade launcher that deals arc damage. This one is a wave frame though, so as a one-shot handheld grenade launcher, projectiles release a wave of energy when they make contact with the ground. As with a lot of the raid weapons, just over 3% of players currently have their hands on this, and if it's missing from your collection, you can pick it up from the 2nd and 4th encounters from inside the raid. Now, this weapon is definitely out there as one of the best ad clearing weapons available this season. In terms of its main legendary traits, in the 3rd column we once again have 7 options. You can choose between Genesis, Unrelenting, Stats for All, Sleight of Hand, Ambitious Assassin, Surplus, and Steady Hands. And in the 4th and final column, you have a choice between Wellspring, Golden Tricorn, Turnabout, One for All, Bait and Switch, Rampage, and interestingly enough, Chain Reaction. Now, this grenade launcher is the first of its type to offer chain reaction on a wave frame. So it's with that in mind, that would be one of the perks we'll be looking to combine on this incredible energy grenade launcher. So it's with that in mind, if you're looking for the ultimate ad clearing weapon, then you'll be looking for something like high velocity rounds, which increases your projectile speed and reload speed, pairing out with Ambitious Assassin, which overflows the magazine based on the number of rapid kills made before reloading, and finally pairing that with Chain Reaction, where each final blow with the weapon creates an elemental damage explosion. The elemental damage explosions will be highly increasing your chances of a multi-kill, allowing you to proc Ambitious Assassin very consistently. And the fact that this weapon also will have the raid exclusive origin trait Soul Drinker, meaning that you'll be getting health back based on just a number of hits before reloading, means you'll be regaining continuous amounts of health just by launching this GL into a group of ads. Forbearance is the ultimate ad clearing machine and is most definitely one of the standout weapons of the raid. And as we said earlier, if you haven't got your hands on the Forbearance just yet, you'll be able to pick this up from the 2nd and 4th encounters, or even craft it over in the Enclave once you've earned 5 Deep Sight Resonance versions of this weapon. So there we have it guys, a good look at all the raid weapons in the Vow of the Disciple raid, their perks and the god rolls you should be seeking out. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to check out one of the 2 videos you see here in these cards for more Destiny 2 content. And if you want to keep up to date with everything to do with Destiny 2, be sure to hit subscribe as well. I will jump back into the game as always guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.